there's nothing you can play that will really prepare you for Ball Pit. It's part Arkanoid / Breakout, part Vampire Survivors, and part Base Builder, but assembled in such a way that feels wholly unique. As such, it can be tough when you're first starting out to get a feel of how to actually play the game in a way that will lead to success. To that end, here are 10 tips to get you started in Ball Pit. As a general rule of thumb, rather than just shooting straight at an enemy, you should look for gaps in the front line that allow your balls to bounce between enemies and walls, causing them to get stuck behind enemy lines and making them rapidly bounce multiple times off different enemies, dealing damage with each bounce. Be aware though that this general rule of thumb can change depending on how your build goes. Some builds may favor a more straightforward approach of attacking from the front with big single target damage, or AoE explosions after a single hit, so just be aware of the direction your run is going. You should basically always keep auto shooting on, but turning it off can help if you need to move faster, like when swooping behind enemy lines to grab a power up. This applies to most characters except the Itchy Finger, whose passive ability lets him move at full speed at all times. The same goes if you pick up the Fleet Feet passive power up. It lets you run at full speed even while shooting, and also increases your movement speed. Every character has a starting weapon, different stats, and a unique passive, with the exception of the starting warrior character, and it's important to take all of these distinct elements into consideration during your run. If your character has high leadership, you should try to get a build that leans into that strength that focuses on creating lots of baby balls. On the flip side, if your character has high intelligence, you'll want to try and enhance that by aiming for balls that focus on AoE damage. If your passive ability lets you fire balls that pass through enemies until they reach the back line, you should focus on upgrades that enhance that ability and don't double up on it. That said, don't focus so much on your strengths that you neglect to try to mitigate your weaknesses. For example, if you're playing as the Embedded and you focus all of your effort into strengthening your ability to wreck the back line thanks to your passive, you might struggle when a boss closes the gap and you don't have any close range damage. Your starting special ball will also help guide you when it comes to trying to collect specific ball combos, which we'll get to a bit later. You'll gain some pretty significant advantages if you don't focus on just a single character. Certain characters will give you a percentage of extra gold for choosing them before starting your run, there are structures that give bonuses for every unique character that has beaten a level, and each character also has their own level progression with rewards at specific milestones that will aid you when it comes to base building and resource gathering. There are 3 ways to improve your special balls: level them up, fuse them together, or find 2 balls that synergize together and evolve them into something even better. You can improve a ball by buying its next upgrade when you level up, or by grabbing one of the rainbow pickups and using fission to randomly upgrade between 1 and 5 balls that you own. When you have 2 level 3 balls, you'll be able to either fuse them or evolve them. Fusing simply merges the 2 balls into one, copying and pasting the effects of one ball onto the other. This is good for when you need to make room in your inventory for another ball, and can also be amazing if you're able to combine something like Broodmother, which can spawn a bunch of baby balls, with a laser power-up so that each baby ball spawned will cause a laser to fire when it hits an enemy. Evolutions are what you generally want to aim for. These are special ball combinations that turn into a completely new, much more powerful ball. Examples include Holy Laser, formed by combining a horizontal and vertical laser together that deals damage to all enemies in both the same row and column. Shotgun, formed by combining Iron and Egg Sac, which explodes into 3 to 7 iron balls after hitting a wall. And Bomb, formed by combining Burn and Iron, which, as you imagine, does big AoE damage when it hits a target and blows up. You can change the game speed by pressing the right and left bumper. Generally, I like to play on max speed, but occasionally we'll turn it down if things start to get a little hectic and I need to be a little more precise with my aim or my dodges. This is more of a personal preference thing than anything else, but it's important to know that it's an option that's available to you, and it will certainly make the slow beginning of each run much more enjoyable to get through when you turn up the game speed. While the shooting might be automatic, your movement isn't, and that's where the skill comes in. One of the most important ways to raise your attack speed is to catch your special balls mid-flight. When a ball is bouncing around, it's unavailable for you to shoot again until it resets at the bottom of the screen. But if you manage to catch it before it hits the bottom, it's instantly reloaded into your pouch, letting you fling it again right away. The random nature of rewards in Ball Pit make it a bit difficult to precisely plan your build, but you should go into each run with an idea of the combos that you want to make. A good strategy is to base this on your starting special ball. If you're the itchy finger who starts with burn, you might want to look into getting iron to make a bomb, wind so you can get inferno, or freeze for frozen flame. If you're playing as the cohabitants, you'll want to evolve your starting Broodmother special to get Spider Queen by combining it with Egg Sac, and look to improve upon your Baby Ball power with passives like Warhorn, Bottle Tornado, and Slingshot. To help you get these combos, make sure to reroll and banish. You can control the randomness of Ball Pit's rewards to an extent by using rerolls to get a new set of 3 choices every level up, and eventually, when you get the Exorcist structure, you'll also get the ability to banish rewards that don't suit your build and remove them from the pool of potential upgrades. You'll have to use your best judgment on when you should take a reward and when you should reroll, and you'll need to be careful because while rerolls are initially fairly cheap in their gold costs, they get dramatically more expensive every time you do one. And the gold you spend is gold you don't get back at the end of a run. And finally, an important part of the progression in this game is building up your base after each run. If you're not super into this part of the game, and I get it, I'm not really either, don't stress too much about the optimization of building placement and maximizing your resources with each harvest. Unless you're speedrunning, you really don't need to worry about that stuff, and can treat this more like a marathon rather than a sprint. I would generally recommend expanding upwards so you can keep your field narrow, allowing for your workers to bounce against the walls and hit things multiple times, then opening up the bottom row to place your farms, lumber yards, and stone mines for some automated resource collection. If you're doing a bunch of construction, you can create a little box with all the buildings you're making so that your workers just bounce between all of them. Also make sure that you're regularly upgrading your buildings too, especially the stat scaling buildings, as they will have a very noticeable effect on your power in an actual run. And those are some starting tips to help you get on the right foot with Ball Pit. Thanks for watching, and for everything else, keep it here on IGN.